Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. We are, I had told you we were doing chapter 14 of Numbers in 4 episodes. This particular, this is the 5th episode that we're looking at in Numbers 14. As I was going through it, as I was actually teaching through this, something caught my eye in verses 18 and 19. Verses 18 and 19 of chapter 14 are verses that are used really for false teaching. Okay, and so I felt I need to go back and address that false teaching. The false teaching has to do with generational sins. I remember hearing a sermon back, man, this had probably been like 1990, maybe 89. I heard a sermon in a large church, and it was talking about generational sin and how they would use this verse and as kind of proof of that you had sin that went back, your generations ago, 3 or 4 generations ago. Someone sinned, and now you needed to confess that sin and deal with that sin. It's not what it's talking about here. So I want to further explain that so we have a proper understanding of what we might be talking about as generational sin. So this is taken from Numbers chapter 14, verses 18 and 19 here. All right, so let me read this. Chapter 14 of Numbers 18 and 19, it says this: "The Lord is slow to anger, abounding in love, and forgiving sin and rebellion." Okay, a great thing there. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but he's so gracious to us. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children for the sins of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation. In accordance with the great love, forgive the sin of these people, just as you have pardoned them, from the time they have left Egypt until now. So this false teaching, like I said, is a teaching that says because your great-grandfather sinned and did this sin, you might not know about it, but you need to confess that sin and deal with that sin. Let me set the record straight here. According to Romans 3:23, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We are born with a sinful nature. We are all children of Adam, all children of Eve, and because of them, sin has been passed down through the generations. And so we're all born with that sinful nature. When a baby is like 1 year old, no one has to teach that baby how to act bad and how to sin. The baby just has a natural tendency to do it on its own because it's born with that sinful nature. No one has to teach a child how to lie, how to steal, how to whack another child because they took their toy, all that stuff. As a Christian, you have that worldview that we're born with that sinful nature. The world, on the other hand, has a worldview that we're all born good and we were born perfect, and then we eventually sinned. That's false also. So we're born with that sinful nature. What it's talking about here is you have sin, and sin has consequences. We talked about that in fact a couple episodes ago. Sin has consequences, and as that sin has consequences, that will affect my future generations. Okay, if I have a problem with alcoholism, that will affect my future generations. Okay, it could cause birth defects for one thing, but because of my alcoholism or that of my wife, that could cause birth defects. But more so, the problem is I have that problem, and my children pick that up and also kind of adopt that problem. So they're like, Dad's okay with getting drunk all the time, so I'm going to be okay with getting drunk all the time. It's not just alcoholism, it's all kinds of stuff with drugs, lying, adultery. Okay, you might think, oh, it's okay for me to cheat on my wife. Your kids pick that up and they carry that on, and they think it's okay for them to cheat on their wives too, and that's passed down. That sin is passed down. We're called to put an end to that. All right. And so we have to realize as parents, our kids are watching, and that sin will be passed down. So we've got to be very careful as to what we do and how we live so that they're not picking up our sinful habits and passing that down. Okay. So it's a really hard thing. That a lot of times I'm praying for kids that I meet or that we've interacted with, like, Lord, help them break that cycle, because they've grown up in let's say they've grown up in an adulterous with adulterous parents, okay, and the grandparents before that were adulterous, and my big prayer is, Lord, save those kids, because it's just a normal thing for them as they view their parents and their grandparents to see that adultery, and like it's just normal for me to do that. And so for them to break that cycle, it's a huge thing. Okay. And so that's my prayer for them, Lord, that you would break that cycle, and that they could be free from that generational sin, really, that's being passed down, and the parents choose to ignore it or choose to keep on sinning, and not considering that their children are picking up on those things. So my encouragement to you is, as your parents or grandparents, watch how you're living and watch the things that you're teaching to your children, so that those children can grow up and have a godly lifestyle, one that's serving the Lord. All right. So hopefully that explains everything here with that. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, as tomorrow we're actually going to start chapter 15 of Numbers. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.